broke your in right in Mr. Goldberg, so Mr. Steiner, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, sir. You're in the back of the boat with Caroline, Captain Doobie's boat. So Applegate's boat was leaving at this point, right?
Yes.
And you're calming her down. What happens next?
We were actually in the front of the boat on the railing off to the left.
Front of the boat, sorry about
Yes.
that. Facing which direction?
The boat was facing east.
Okay. What do you do? What happens?
So as Braden Applegate's boat was pulling away, the captain yells out, "We're gonna go too. We don't have enough life jackets for everyone on the board, so if you didn't come with us, you have to get off."
So this is kind of simultaneous. One boat's pulling off, the captain's also about to pull off on your boat.
Correct.
And kicks you and other people off.
Correct.
Okay. What do you do?
At that point, I have Caroline on my lap. I'm on the rail, sitting on the rail,
Right.
and she starts getting very irrational. We're like, "What's going on?" She's like, "What do we do? I'm gonna jump in the water. We need to find a way home." She starts kind of panicking.
Why don't you let her jump in the water?
It was not the smartest thing to do. It was her first time there. She's been drinking out of the sun all day. She didn't know where she was going. She was jumping in the water. There's boats driving by, and they're very dangerous.
All right. So did you let her up at first?
No, I kind of was like, "What are you doing? Like, sit back down. It's not smart."
Okay. Did she start getting a little loud and aggressive with you?
Yes, and then I eventually let her go.
Okay. During that time, did you physically try to hurt her or do anything to her?
Never.
All right. But she eventually start hitting your hands to let her go?
That never happened.
Okay, but she physically is trying to get away?
Yes, if I really needed to hold her, I could have. I let her go. I didn't want to be aggressive.
All right. We heard you into the gym and stuff like that with your buddies. You do stuff like that, right?
Yes.
You're a lot stronger than she is, right?
Yes.
How much did you weigh during this time period?
I was about 200 pounds.
Okay. All right, so you let her up, right?
Yes.
Are you trying to convince her don't jump in, or what do you do?
I was convinced here, don't jump in for a while, for a couple seconds.
Right.
And she eventually decides to jump in.
Do you push her in?
Never.
Would you do anything like that?
Never.
Okay. When she jumps in, does she have her belongings with her?
I believe she had her cell phone.
Where was your backpack?
It was on the boat still?
Captain Doobie's boat?
Yes.
When she jumps in, Caroline, you thought that was a bad decision?
Very bad.
And other boats were leaving too at the same time?
Yes.
And what do you do?
So I go up to Captain Doobie. I'm like, "Please, can you just make an exception for us? You don't have a ride home." At the same time, I'm saying bye to people I knew. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
I guess given that the Captain Doobie mentioned he found 2 more life jackets actually.
How long does this take to happen? Seconds?
Yeah, this is within a few, 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. So he finds 2 life jackets and what happens?
So you have 30 seconds to go get her.
Okay, what do you do?
So I immediately jump right off and start swimming as fast as I can.
Why? I mean, why would you do that?
I felt like that was the only way home for the day.
Even though it was dangerous?
Yes.
Okay, were you feeling intoxicated?
Yes, very,
How about tired?
very tired, yes.
And did you jump in the water maliciously to do anything to do anything to Miss Schwitzsky at all?
No, I just, my only goal was to tell her we found 2 more life jackets, we're going home. And at the same time, what she was doing was not safe. She was, her first time there, just swimming in the middle of the channel, strangers' boat, she didn't know what she was doing.
Okay. Well, she swam earlier today. What's the difference between earlier and now?
The timing of it and just the intent that she had, trying to find a way home, swimming that direction, just didn't make any sense and it was not safe.
Okay. So you decided to jump in the water together?
Yes.
Did you have any other options to get home at that point?
No, not that I can think of, no.
How do you swim? Are you a good swimmer, bad swimmer, medium? How would you
I
characterize?
swim occasionally,
Decent swimmer?
yes.
Okay. Not like on a swim team or anything?
No, I
How
don't
about,
practice.
how about Caroline? How does she swim?
Yes, occasionally too, just whenever we went to the pool.
Well, during this time in the coastal before this happened, or Lake Boca, were you guys swimming okay?
We were actually struggling pretty much all day.
Because of why?
Just with the alcohol and just the sun, the lack of water and food.
Okay. And what time would you estimate it's at this point when you jump in?
This is probably a little after 5 o'clock.
All right. So you jump in, your intent was what?
To tell her that we have a ride home.
Okay. Could you call out to her or anything like that?
I was yelling initially when I was on the boat before I jumped in. She couldn't hear me. She was pretty far away.
All right. So you jump in, do you have anything with you?
Nothing.
Where's your belongings? Still on
Still on the boat.
And what do you remember happening?
I was just swimming as fast as I can. About halfway through, it was a pretty far swim, maybe 50 yards.
Okay.
Halfway through, I start panicking. My lower half of my body starts sinking. I see like a black room, and I start panicking. I see stars. I was flowing water. It's going in my eyes.
This ever happened to you before?
Never experienced this.
Did you start trying to ask for help or do anything?
I couldn't speak. I didn't know what was going on. I was like in such a panic.
Did you feel like you were going to drown?
I did, yes. Thought I was gonna die.
Were you near any boats at this point?
No, I was in the middle of the water. I felt like I was in just a black room with nothing to like latch onto or to help myself.
Okay.
And I couldn't stay vertical at all.
So what do?
I keep swimming. I see Caroline's shoulder sticking out of the water, and I'm trying to get there. That's my goal. That's what I'm focused on. And by the time I approach her, I grab onto her shoulder just to regain my composure.
Did you grab onto her shoulder to try to drown her?
Never.
Did you ever grab her neck and rock her back and forth like a rag doll?
It never happened, no.
Would you in a million years ever try to hurt this young lady?
I had zero intent to hurt her. I loved her. There was no reason for me to hurt her.
Alright, so what do you remember actually doing? The best remember you grabbed, which shoulder? You don't have any hands? Do you have any hands?
I'm ready, so I stuck my right hand out. I stuck it out as far as I could. I saw the right shoulder sticking out. I saw she was stationary somehow. I didn't know if it was shallow enough or what it was, but the shoulder was the first thing I touched. I regained my composure, and it was just so quick.
Did you ever notice she had a raft there?
I didn't notice it after.
So at the time you didn't see a floating?
I just saw her and her shoulder sticking out.
Okay. Did you see any boats that were closer to you than Caroline?
She was the closest thing to me at the time.
Do you think you were seeing clearly, or was it difficult for you to even
It
see?
was difficult. I had water splashing in my eyes. I was swallowing water. I was going down. It was a very scary time.
Okay. Is there any way you can tell the court how, if you even know how long you had her, your hands on her shoulder pushing her down?
It was super brief, maybe 1 to 2 seconds. I just needed that touch to regain my composure. I felt like I was again in like just a black room with nothing to hold on to, and I was like sinking, and it was very scary.
Did you feel disoriented at the time?
Yes.
Did you see if Caroline went under the water?
I'm not sure.
Do you know if you went under the water?
I'm not sure.
All right. So what's the next thing you remember?
I see the floaty eventually. I grab onto it. I see her getting pulled onto the boat by these people that were yelling at me, and then I eventually swim a little closer
Hold
to
on, it's like, who's yelling at you?
these people on the boat.
The people that testified?
Yes.
What were they yelling, basically?
I couldn't even make it clear. I was still like in such a panic. I couldn't really understand, but I eventually hold on to the back of their boat. And I'm trying to say that's my girlfriend, and I could swim, that's my girlfriend. They're screaming, and eventually I get a hook in my face.
All right. So the first time you got a hook in your face was when you were holding on the back of Mr. Tarabchek's boat?
Yes, when I was trying to explain that's my girlfriend, they wouldn't listen to me. I couldn't get a word out. They just kept yelling over me.
Did you know what they were even yelling about?
I had no clue.
Did you realize what they thought happened? Or you didn't even know that?
I didn't even know what was going on. I was so confused. I was just like, I can't swim, that's my girlfriend.
Didn't make sense to you?
Yeah, I was in shock.
All right. Did it even register to you what they were accusing you of, or not even?
When I got the boat hook, I got threatened at that point, and I didn't even want to talk to them anymore. I thought they were actually going to strike me.
You thought they were going to what?
Strike me with it.
Okay. So you're holding on to the back of the boat. Do you have any idea how long you're holding on to, or is it hard to say?
It's hard to say.
All right. Enough for you to be yelled at, have a boat hook put on you, near you, and
Yes,
you try to plead your case and they won't listen to you?
correct.
All right. Did you have more of a composure at that point, realizing you were where you were?
Yes, I was able to regain my composure a bit. I was holding on to the boat.
All right. Were you out of this dark box that you described?
Yes.
All right. So there's no way you're getting on this boat?
No.
All right. And did you try to talk to Caroline at all?
Not at that moment. It happened pretty quickly.
Oh.
I was just scared of the hook being in my face, so
All right. So what'd you do?
I turned around. I turned my right shoulder, and I see the boat I jumped off of. They actually obviously were leaving, so they were waiting on Caroline and I to get back. So they actually luckily drifted closer to me. So I turned back and I started swimming back to them, and they left me up on their boat.
How did you swim back? Did you have a hard time?
No, I was just treading water. I took my time at that point.
So you weren't swimming full speed like you were trying to get Caroline?
Correct, and it was much closer.
Okay. So So you get back to Captain Doobie's boat?
Yes,
That's where your belongings are?
correct,
And that's the guy said 30 seconds, come on back?
correct.
All right, what do you do then?
They left me up and they're like, okay, we're going home. Do you want to come with us? I could have left right there. I said, no, I'm
Why
not.
didn't you go?
I didn't want to leave my girlfriend. I felt that she was the first time there. I didn't want to leave her in a stranger's boat.
These people are accusing you of trying to drown her, right?
I didn't even know that. No.
You didn't even realize what they were accusing you of? You just knew they were threatening you
Yes,
and had your girlfriend on their boat?
yes.
All right. So you decided not to leave Captain
Yeah,
Doobie?
I told them I can't leave her here. So they decided to drop me off to the sandbar so I could stand.
And about how far is the sandbar?
It's in the middle, so they went maybe about 30 yards, 30, 40 yards
Okay.
inwards.
And you get off the boat by yourself?
Yes, with my backpack.
Could you see Mr. Tarapchak's boat from there?
Yes, it was very far out. It was about, it was west, northwest.
How far from you would you estimate?
Probably 50 yards.
All right. So let's make sure I understand. After you let go of the, what are you holding on to, the transom or platform of the boat, Tarapchak's boat?
Correct, yes.
And how far is the swim to Mr. Captain Doobie's boat?
Maybe about 15 yards.
Okay. You get your stuff. How long are you on that boat? Seconds, minutes?
I'm on their boat for a while because they were like, are you coming with me or not? I said, I'm not with my girlfriend, so they dropped me off to the sandbar.
All right. And was that on their way back to the coastal or the channel? The sandbar?
The sandbar's in the middle.
Oh, okay. So you get in the sandbar, are you standing?
I'm standing, yes.
How long are you there for, Justin?
I'm there for maybe 10 minutes.
All right, do you regain your composure even more?
Yes.
Obviously still feeling,
Definitely.
huh?
Yes, I did that.
All right, you're obviously still feeling the effects of drinking all day?
Yes, I definitely felt the effects of alcohol, but I had all my awareness and all my faculties.
All right. What do you think at this point? You have no idea what's going on?
I'm just focused on going back to my girlfriend, Caroline. She's on a stranger's boat again, and I didn't understand what was going on.
So at this point, do you believe while you're on the sandbar that this lady broke up with you?
No, not at all.
All right, and did you have any intention at that point to break up with her?
No.
Were you still having an enjoyable relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So you get your composure, whatever, 10 minutes, whatever it is, what do you do?
I decided to swim back to, I finally spot Alex Tarapchak's boat where Caroline was on, and I decided to swim with my backpack back to that boat.
Let me ask you this, if you know, there's been some testimony that somebody threw Caroline's backpack or bag, whatever it was, with the phone inside of it while she jumped in the water. Did you ever see that?
I did not know.
Do you know if that happened or didn't happen, or you don't know?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Did you have Caroline's phone when you were on the sandbar in your backpack?
No.
You definitely did not?
Definitely did not.
Okay. So you decided to swim back to the, I know you didn't know it was Tarapchak's boat, but to their boat?
Yes.
All right. You knew whose boat it was, obviously.
Yes.
Was there a lot of boats still there, or was it thinning?
It was clearing at the time.
All right. And what do you do with your backpack?
I had it on my back.
How come?
It was easier for me to swim that way. It was also helping me float.
Okay. Do you make it back to the boat where she's on, Caroline?
Yes, I do.
And what happens when you get there?
She's kneeling down as I'm approaching.
Just like we saw in the picture?
Correct. She's holding my hand, saying it's okay. It was a misunderstanding. We're gonna go home.
Are you confused still?
I was confused. I was like, yeah, I don't know what these people thought. And I was just very confused. I was like, okay, I'm excited to go home now. Let's figure this out.
Were you crying?
I was upset. I didn't understand what happened, and I felt like I was, they didn't want me on the boat again, I felt like, or I didn't want to attempt to, and I felt like just in the water again, she had that same feeling of not being able to hold anything, so.
Hold on, let me ask you. My question was, I know you're a college, were a college football player, you're a grown man. The question was, were you crying?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. That's probably embarrassing to talk about, right?
Yes.
So, you guys are trying to figure out what to do?
Yes.
Then what happens?
And then shortly after, the FWC boats come up.
Were people on the boat still yelling at you at this point?
No words were said to me besides, I was talking with Caroline.
All right. Did you see any FWC boats before you came back
No.
that had the lights on or sirens or anything like that? How long, if you could tell us, how long was the estimate you were talking to Caroline before the FWC boat pulls up?
About 3 to 5 minutes.
Did you try to get on that boat?
No, I didn't try.
How come?
From what happened prior,
You were scared?
yes.
Did Caroline look injured to you at all?
Not at all.
Was she choking or coughing up water?
Not at all.
Talking funny?
Not at all.
Alright. So the FWC boat pulls up. What happens then?
I'm actually relieved that they're coming. I thought this was our chance to go to shore and they were just drop us off and Caroline was going to come with me. I've actually had this happen prior years when I went to Boca Bash. I was on a paddleboard and I was brought to shore by a police boat, just when I asked. I thought that's what was happening.
Okay. And it wasn't what was happening.
Correct.
Alright. What do you do? What do they have you do?
They bring me on the boat and start questioning me.
Alright. And do they read your Miranda warnings like the cop officer testified to?
Yes.
Did you understand them?
Yes.
And did they have you sign a card? If you remember, a Miranda card.
No.
Oh, okay, but they explained your rights to you.
Yes.
All right. And did they put a life jacket on you?
Yes.
And did they have you sit down?
Yes.
And did you basically talk to the police?
Yes.
Freely or voluntarily?
Yes.
Did you basically tell them what you told us?
Correct.
Well, you also said something about your leg being injured, and they put a bandage. Did that? You remember anything about that, or was it inconsequential?
I definitely had a couple that was just from boat hopping through the day.
All right.
Just like getting pulled up on boats.
That had no effect on anything, did it?
No, no.
Okay. A few, roughly a week before this incident, there was Caroline in a car accident.
Yes.
Did she possibly get some injuries on her?
Yes.
Bruises on her arm, do you remember if they were from the accident?
I was there later that night, a few hours after the accident.
Did you help pay for her car to get fixed?
Objection relevance?
Overruled.
Yes.
And it's obvious you pled not guilty, and that's, you maintain you didn't do anything on purpose, right?
Correct.
And you still maintain that today?
Yes, I did.
Have a moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Good catch.
Thank you. Did you give any interviews or go on YouTube or any TMZ shows for this case?
No.
And you obviously were served a civil lawsuit by Caroline trying to get money from you?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Cross-examination?
Good afternoon.
President?
Alright. You were basically raised in Boca,
Yes, ma'am.
and you live in a country club.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there pools there?
Yes, ma'am.
Pool at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Been to Boca Bash before?
Yes, ma'am.
So, rough to say you were 23, and lawyers are not known for their math, but that puts us at 13 years probably that you've been to Boca Bash at that point.
I was going since I was 10 years old.
Right, so you were 10 going to Boca Bash, you're 23 on the 24th of 2022. Puts me at 13 years.
Yes.
You can feel free to correct me, but I think I'm right there. So 13 years.
I didn't go out every single year, though.
Okay. So would you say, have you gone about 10 times or less than that?
Sounds about right.
Okay, so we can settle 10 years probably. I won't hold you to the specific, but around 10 years you have been at Boca Bash.
Yes.
Okay, because you speak very familiarly about the kind of directions of Boca Bash and Lake Boca. So is that because you're very familiar with Lake Boca?
Yes.
Okay. You also grew up in Boca Raton, Florida, so you're next to the water. right?
Yes, about 10 minutes from the beach.
Pretty close. And you had a boat at some point,
Yes,
your friends had boats,
yes.
you went to the beach frequently.
No, not really.
Okay, but you used to go handful of times a year?
Yes.
And then obviously the years you went to Boca Bash, that's beach adjacent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Lake Boca, is that like the place to go if you're gonna go boating in Boca where you used to go?
Yes, ma'am.
So safe to say, if you were on a boat and kind of boating around, unless you were doing something specific, you were going to Lake Boca?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you graduated from FSU in December of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
So by April of 2022, had you already taken the LSAT?
I took one exam, yes.
Okay. So you were already admitted into law school by the time that April rolls around?
No.
Okay. So was your plan to attend law school in the fall of 2022, or was it to kind of start in the spring of 2023, or the fall of 2023?
It was the fall of 2022. I wanted to start in, I believe, August.
Okay, so August of 2022, you want to start in April of 2022, you want to start in August, but you haven't formally gotten accepted into a school yet.
That's correct, ma'am, yes.
Okay, have you applied?
No.
Okay. So you weren't intending to take like a gap year, you were trying to go kind of continuous?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You meet Caroline at DARE.
Yes, ma'am.
You're doing that for fun, just kind of being a club promoter, waiting to start law school.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you date for almost a year,
9 months.
right? But you tell Pulaski a year. So was it easy to just round up sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. And you knew when you started dating her, maybe not that night at DARE, but pretty shortly thereafter, that she had kids.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew she was older than you.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew that, or you came to know that in her relationship, she expected certain things from her partner.
Later on, yes.
Okay, so in her view, she expected financial support.
That was towards the end of the relationship.
Okay, and that wasn't a deal breaker for you?
I mean, it was difficult, but no.
Okay, because I mean, if it was a deal breaker, then you might not have been together in April, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you really had no intentions of breaking up with her.
No, ma'am.
Your intention was to go to Nova, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Nova is pretty close to Boca,
Yes, ma'am.
and in fact, it's closer to Myanmar,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So even if you went to school and stayed at home in your guest house, you would be able to see her probably easier if you were driving down to Nova.
Yes, ma'am.
So come April 22 of 2020, 24 of 2022, you guys, for your POV, are in a good, steady relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You argue though.
No, ma'am.
You guys don't argue?
No.
All right, so first couple in the world, you guys don't argue about anything.
Very small, basic arguments. Nothing crazy. Nothing physical, of course.
Well, so that's why I say argue and not fight, right? Because fighting implies physical. So when I say argue, could be about small things, but disagreements, arguments in a relationship with a couple, you know, did you guys have that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And one of the things you guys would argue about was your ex, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was because, I mean, she was your high school girlfriend, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She was still around.
Yes, ma'am.
She was all the time, she was there, right? She worked for your parents.
Yes, ma'am.
And so your new girlfriend comes in and here's your ex and she can't get away from her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you want to be her friend.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have nothing bad to say about Angela because you guys ended on good terms,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And that bothered Caroline.
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys didn't argue about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You didn't argue or get insecure or jealous at all?
I wouldn't say so, no.
Okay. So you knew, in addition to her financial requirements, whether you found out right at the beginning or not, but sometime in the relationship you found out what kind of person, bless you, Judge, how she was gonna be. But that being said, you also knew that she was an entertainer, right?
Can you rephrase that, please?
You knew that she was in the entertainment business.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you knew that she had been on TV.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew that she was still trying to do that stuff, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if she had already shaved her head at that point. Had she already shaved her head?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So had she done things though, like for Instagram, for her followers before that?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you dated her, she had a big following.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. None of that bothered you.
No, ma'am.
In fact, as you just testified, she and you had a plan to go on divorce court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were a willing participant in that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you also were okay with the limelight. In fact, you were okay being in it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you would never describe your relationship with Ms. Schwitzsky as toxic.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. But on direct, you did say that she sometimes would say that you guys were over and you actually weren't. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that was a frequent thing that she would do. Call it off when things got tough. We're done. I'm done with you. And then because it had happened enough, you knew that it wasn't actually true,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So that means it had to have happened at least more than once, right? Because if it would have happened once, you wouldn't really know if she was serious or not, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right, so let's turn to April 24th, 2022. So you told officers you were there since 9. Does that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today you said 10, but you think still 9 or do you think 10?
Somewhere in that proximity. I know I got to Espinosa's house at 9. I don't know what the exact time we arrived to the lake.
Okay. How far do you think the lake is from his house?
It's a couple miles, but you have to go a certain speed, and there's no wake zones, so it took some time to get there.
Right, you're going at what, like under 5 miles an hour?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it can take a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a lot of boats, so you kind of have to wait for boats to come in from the channel. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not familiar with the area, so feel free to correct me. But sounds right. It took you longer. There's also a million boats out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you get to Boca Bash. You guys are so excited.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you say no issues before noon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have to ask, did you have an Apple Watch on?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so how on earth did you know what time things were with no, did you have your phone out of your book bag?
I did, and I was also playing music, so I had my phone frequently.
Okay, so you were connecting to like people's Bluetooth?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you kind of glance down, change a song, take a request, and you glance and notice the time.
Yes, ma'am.
So throughout the day, you're kind of intermittently checking your phone, and you're able to clock the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you say there's no issues, except there was a slight little hiccup that morning, right? Where she got a little jealous about the girl with the boat. Because not only did Angela Braddock kind of make her a little upset sometimes, but also sometimes speaking to younger women would kind of upset her, like younger than you or your age.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was another kind of issue you guys would have sometimes. You're talking to a younger girl, because you're a promoter at Dare, right?
Yes.
So like when people text you, like, hey, can you let me in tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did she like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so that was another kind of point of contention that you guys had in your relationship. Fair to say?
I mean, at times she realized that she was involved with working me as well, so she understood if it was business related and just something like that, and that would be fine, but there's certain things.
Sometimes it would set her off.
Yes.
She had a quick temper.
I would say so, yes.
She's Latina, she kind of could fly off the handle a little bit sometimes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you say a couple shots are involved. How many shots do you think you had throughout the day?
I would say about 3,
Okay, how many mixed drinks?
maybe 2.
And how many beers?
No beers, I would just stick to seltzers.
Okay, so hard seltzers?
More like White Claws, yes.
Okay, I say hard seltzers because we're not talking about like a soda water that has flavor, right? So we're
Right.
talking about like a White Claw, a High Noon, things like that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how many of those did you have?
I would say about 5.
Okay, so in total you had, was it 3, 3, 5?
Sounds right, yes.
Okay, and you started drinking at around 9 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
You said at some point you drank 1 to 2 bottles of water, but you also said prior to that water, you had been telling Caroline to pace herself and you've been telling her to drink water. So did you have 1 to 2 bottles of water the whole day? Or did you have 1 to 2 bottles of water later in the day and earlier in the day you had more water?
That was the only water I had all day.
Okay, so only water you had all day, 1 to 2 bottles.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you had a Celsius, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but that's just an energy drink.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're going drink for drink with Caroline.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that was smart on her part?
No, that's why I was telling her to mix in some water.
Okay. And would you agree that's because you don't think it's smart because she was weighing probably 130
Yes, ma'am.
and you were at 200?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so neither of us, I think, are scientists, but do you think somebody of her stature and weight could retain and process as much alcohol as you, knowing that you knew her and you knew how she drank and how she could hold her liquor?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And obviously we agree, right, that everybody can hold their liquor in a different way, right? You could be a heavyweight champ, but you actually don't weigh that much, and you could also be a lightweight and be 300 pounds.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But as far as Ms. Schwitzsky was concerned, how would you categorize her?
She was on the skinnier side.
Was she somebody that had a hard time holding her liquor?
No,
Okay. She never got sloppy?
not too much. I mean, at times, at times at clubs when we were at there, she would get. It depends how much she drank, though.
Okay. So how many drinks do you think it took for her to start getting bad?
It all depends on the scene and the situation.
Okay. So on her best day, when did you see her the most drunk? With the least amount of drinks?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So she's going drink for drink with you. You're seeing her finish shots. Right? She's so happy.
Yeah,
Right?
she's happy, yes.
No issues.
No.
And you're able at some point in the day to go to a boat, get 2 cases of Celsius and bring them back to the boat, no problem swimming.
They were actually on the sandbar.
Okay, so you didn't have to swim to do that.
Correct.
You were just able to walk in water to
Yes.
get those things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you really start swimming is when you're going, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the Espinosa's boat to the Atuli vodka boat?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you're swimming back to the Espinosa's boat and you're holding anchors,
Yes, ma'am.
you're holding floaties,
Yes, ma'am.
you're holding jet skis.
Yes, ma'am.
How far was the Atuli vodka boat from the Espinosa's boat?
I was about 50 yards, I would say, maybe a little more.
Okay, and that was, no part of that was in the sandbar?
Correct.
Okay. And you have your backpack with your phone and that's in Sebastian's boat?
Yes, ma'am.
And her stuff is basically in your bag?
Yes, ma'am.
Her phone's in your bag?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Her phone's not being used to connect to Bluetooth speakers?
No, ma'am.
So she's not looking at the time like you are?
Correct, yes.
So, some point you get back to the Espinosa's probably after the Atuli boat, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The first time around Atuli boat.
Yes, ma'am.
And you say, what are you guys doing? It's so early, because you see them packing up.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not Caroline pushing you to stay, it's mutual.
No,
You
just-
both want to stay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you didn't want to stay.
I was giving the option to Caroline. I've been there plenty of times throughout my life. I was ready to go if we needed to.
So you want to go because you've seen it all and you're good to go, but your first thing that you say on direct to your friend is, what are you doing? It's so early.
Well, I've been with them in previous years. It was unusual for them to go so early, so I was just kind of like, why are you guys going so early this time?
Now, they're leaving, and the question of where are we gonna go begins, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
And you acquire paddle boards from a friend, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You call them on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your phone's working, we're using it for music, you call somebody, you have service, you tell them, I need to get somewhere, they say we have paddle boards, and they go and swim to you with the paddle boards, and then you guys get on the paddle boards, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if Sebastian leaves at 2:30, how long would you estimate it takes for the paddle boards to get to you after you have the conversation with your friend?
I believe about 30 minutes.
Okay, so that puts us at 3:30, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have to paddle all the way back to your friend's boat, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so safe to say 30 minutes back on the way back too?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so how fast do you get to the friend's boat?
We got there in about maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, so we're at 3:05 to 3:35 for when you are out of the paddle boards and onto, at this point, the tied up boats, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the boats that have Anthony on one boat with Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with Braden driving that boat, or it's
Father.
Braden's boat?
His father is.
Okay, and Captain Doobie, and random people that you know, some people, I guess?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, at that point, how far is Doobie and Brandon's boat from where you were originally?
So I was in the center, and it was they were on the west side by the channel, the deeper side.
So the sandbar's here, and then you're like in the area of the middle,
Correct.
and then my west is this way, your west is that way. So they're out that way, like from the center.
I just go straight west of it.
Okay. So you say it takes about 5 minutes to get there from the center,
Yes, ma'am.
and you get there and you start boat hopping.
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys are drinking and hanging out and having a good time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then at that point, you had said that that was 2:30 to 3 is when you met Doobie for the first time and you got on that boat. But really, what we're talking about is probably like 3:05, 3:35 by the time you get to that boat, right?
Possibly somewhere around that time frame, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you then are kind of hanging out. You want to go back to the vodka boat, right?
We both did, yes.
Okay. How far is the vodka boat from the tied-up boats?
So they're on the same side west. You just head just straight south, and you get there. I would say it's about another 50, 60 yards south.
50, 60 yards takes you how long to paddleboard? Because you guys take the paddleboard that time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how far then?
I would say it's about just 5 minutes as well.
Okay. Now, then we talk about the trampoline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys get there, there's a big trampoline. And Caroline wants to get on, or you want to get on too?
We both are planning on getting on.
Okay, so there's like 8 girls bouncing around, Caroline jumps on too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she asks you to go get her a drink.
Yes, ma'am.
So you underhand toss a drink to her,
Yes, ma'am.
she drops it.
Yes, ma'am.
You then jump and throw 2 to 3 more to the 2 to 3 girls that are also gesturing to you.
I tossed them, yes.
And those are underhand as well.
Correct.
So you never hit Caroline.
No.
Why do you think she said that?
Objection, Judge. Speculation's argument. It's just it's speculation.
Did she hit her head?
Never.
Did she fall?
Never.
So, nonetheless, she gets upset.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably minutes after you threw her the can.
Yes, ma'am.
She walks up to you and says, "Why are you throwing girls' drinks?"
Yes, ma'am.
And you leave
Yes, ma'am.
because she doesn't want to be there anymore. It's over. We're done with that boat. We don't want to have fun there anymore, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you don't really drink anything there because you guys got there and within minutes you're already having a problem with it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you'd agree she's not happy with you at that point. Right?
Essentially, maybe, yeah.
I mean, she doesn't even want to get on the paddleboard with you, right?
She just wanted to swim.
Okay, so she didn't want to swim to just like get away from you because she's annoyed?
No.
Okay. So no breakup happens there. She swims and goes back to the tie-up boats.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So at that point, we get to, some time happens, I think you estimate about 10 to 15 minutes when you get back and someone slaps your girlfriend's butt,
That was, yes. Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes.
So Caroline gets very angry.
Yes, ma'am.
She wants to fight the guy.
Yes, ma'am.
She wants you to fight the guy.
Yes, ma'am.
She's enraged that you didn't go after the guy.
Yes, ma'am.
You told the police that someone inappropriately touched your girlfriend without her consent, and you defended her.
By speaking, yes.
Okay, but you agree, not physical, but you defended your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You told the police you were upset with her for allowing it to happen.
Objection, improper impeachment.
You confronted him with a statement yet?
I just confronted him with the statement.
Sustained objection.
Okay. Were you upset with her for allowing it to happen?
She didn't allow that, and it was unexpected.
Would it be concerning, or would it be weird for you to say that you said that?
Objection, same objection, improper impeachment.
Sustained.
Do you remember giving a statement to the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember being Mirandized?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember agreeing and waiving your Miranda rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as far as you know, did you know if it was body worn camera footage active at the time?
I would assume so.
Okay. Your Honor, I have headphones, but I did ask the defense if they were okay with it playing out loud. Does the court have a problem with me doing that for the impeachment and have the timestamps?
I don't, but has he testified in court different than his prior statement? Otherwise,
Yes.
it's not proper impeachment.
He has testified differently than his prior
Then you can
statement.
ask him the question from him. But
Okay. So did you say ever at any time that you were upset with her for allowing it to happen?
Yes.
Okay. You told that to the police?
Yes, but I misspoke.
Okay. So you weren't upset with her for allowing it to happen,
No, because she never allowed it to happen, which just happened unexpectedly.
but you agree that you did say that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you indicated in direct that you got in between them and you were trying to calm it down, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But now you're saying you did speak to him and you did try to talk to him, right?
That was at the same time, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what did you say to him?
I basically said what Carol was saying to, that's how you meet somebody for the first time. I said, please respect the relationship. And I separated them.
Okay, so you told him to respect your relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
You also told him to respect you.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were upset that it happened.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you said those things to him, but you weren't upset at all. Okay. And you agree that you told the police you were upset, but today you say you misspoke.
Yes, ma'am.
So, right after that, you get kicked off of Doobie's boat,
No.
right? Okay. So you don't get kicked off of Doobie's boat because of the argument,
No.
but you agree that it was a big commotion. The incident with the slapping.
No, ma'am.
No? You said that on direct. It was a big commotion. It was time to wrap up. Other people were yelling at the guy.
This was on Braden's police boat, not Davey's.
Okay, but that's where the butt slapping happened, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you agree it was a big commotion.
Yes, ma'am.
You agree that right after that, they all said it's time to wrap up.
Yes, ma'am.
And you agree that there were other people yelling at the man who had done this to your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
So it wasn't just your girlfriend flying off the handle. Other people saw this and they were upset.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're tied up to one boat or more?
At the time, I believe one.
And when you're tied up to that one boat, are you guys completely alone in the ocean or in the Lake Boca, or are there boats nearby?
There's boats nearby, but not super close.
Okay, so how far would you estimate the boats are?
Every boat is at least 20 plus yards.
20 plus yards. So you have no idea what those boats saw.
No, ma'am.
You have no idea what those boats heard.
No, ma'am.
So you have the disagreement about the seltzers, right?
Disagreement?
She's upset with you that you threw seltzers at other girls.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have, according to you, she got upset with you for not confronting the guy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's another disagreement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's walking away from you and you're pursuing her.
Yes, ma'am.
So she's walking around and you're trying to follow after her
Yes, ma'am.
because she's mad
Yes, ma'am.
and she wants to get away from you.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so then why is she walking away from you?
She's very still heated about the situation about her getting slapped.
Okay, so your testimony is that she was walking away from you, but she didn't want to be away from you because she was upset about the situation, but she wasn't mad at you.
Correct.
Okay. And you heard other witnesses testify to her following and you chasing her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you grab her from behind and she wants you to let go.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so there was never a time where you grabbed her and held her and she wanted you to let go.
I had her in my lap at one point. I was hugging her from behind, but that was about it.
Okay, but was there any time where you were touching her and she wanted you to let her go? And then whether you let her go after that is different, but she said, I want you to let me go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you were grabbing her in that part because you were trying to calm her down
Yes, ma'am.
because she's still mad.
Yes, ma'am.
So right after that, she is in the water.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking her to get back on the boat.
No, ma'am.
You don't think she needs to get back on that boat?
I did.
Okay. So you don't tell her, Caroline, please get back on this boat.
No, I don't.
Okay. Even though you know it's dangerous.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though you know that you're right next to the channel.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though, you know, your attorney has been talking about boats and jet skis flying everywhere. She could get hit by a boat. You don't tell her to get back on the boat that Captain Doobie has on, you know, that you're standing on.
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
So, does she have her phone at this point, or does somebody give her her phone?
Someone gave her a phone.
Okay, was it you?
No.
And at that point, she starts swimming.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't warn her that it's dangerous.
No, ma'am.
You don't warn her that she could get hurt.
No, ma'am.
You don't tell her, I've been here for over 10 years at this event specifically, and this is not the way, you can't swim to the shore. You're not gonna make it. You're gonna die.
I told her all this before she jumped in on the boat. She was being irrational and decided to jump in. When she was in the water, I didn't say anything.
Okay, so she jumps in the water, she starts swimming, and you don't call anybody to try to help her.
No, ma'am.
You don't call out to other boats to flag her over.
No, ma'am.
You have a conversation with the captain.
Yes, ma'am.
You say goodbye to your friends.
Yes, ma'am.
Your girlfriend is swimming in the ocean or the water that is very deep and very dangerous, and you told her not to go, and you're saying goodbye to your friends and speaking to the captain and not asking for help from anyone, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't call 911, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't call out to any of your friends that you think might still be at Boca Bash, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't ask Captain Doobie, hey, can you give me one of those life jackets right now? Since you told me I have 30 seconds, I can go get her with the life jacket, get her the life jacket, because she is intoxicated and can't swim, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't do any of that, and you just jump in, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You swim towards the direction she's going, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you swim fast, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're a good swimmer.
What's the definition of good?
What's the definition of good? I mean, you don't have to be a professional, but you're pretty good.
Yeah, I've experienced it.
Okay. And you've never had something happen like this before, right? Where you just completely could not swim.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been out in water that is deep before.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been out in water that has currents before.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have been injured as an athlete before, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got injured and had to have surgery on your knee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then when you tried to walk on to the FAU team, you never played, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's because you knew your body and you knew that you couldn't do it anymore with that injury. Is that right?
No, ma'am, that's part of it.
Okay. Was that a part of it though?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you jump in knowing it's dangerous, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't tell anybody on the boat, hey, can you watch what I'm doing? Because this is not, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to get my girlfriend because we gotta go. We gotta go with you guys and you gave me 30 seconds, right?
Can you repeat that, please?
You don't ask anybody, hey, keep eyes on me because I don't know if I can make it, neither can she, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't tell them, hey, is there any way that you can just drive me up closer to her so that I can catch her? You don't do that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't, like Sebastian did, right? When they were leaving, they drove you a little closer to where you wanted to be, correct?
Sebastian was leaving? No.
When Sebastian was leaving, you indicated in your direct that you guys got dropped off a little, or actually later, when Doobie was dropping you off at the sandbar, they moved closer to the sandbar for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this time around though, you couldn't ask them that.
No, ma'am.
Or you didn't ask them that.
No, ma'am.
So you jump in after her, you don't shout her name.
I was shouting her name right before I jumped in, yes.
Okay, but you're in the water now. You don't shout her name.
No, ma'am.
You don't shout for help to save her.
No, ma'am.
You don't stop anywhere and ask anybody, not only the boat you were on, but you don't ask anybody for a floaty.
No, ma'am.
You don't ask anybody for a life jacket.
No, ma'am.
You get to, you said, I could not hear you, so was it, you said you got halfway to? You got halfway to the Terratex boat when you started feeling like you couldn't swim?
Somewhere in that proximity, yes.
So it's about 25 yards?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so 25 yards and you get into this dark room.
Yes, ma'am.
So prior to that dark room, you don't pass by a boat and just hold on for a minute.
There was nothing in my area.
You don't swim by the boat, the 6 dudes that some of them came and testified?
That was way off to the left of me. That was not near me.
Okay, so you don't swim and try to grab any anchors?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you don't swim and try to get any jet skis?
No, ma'am.
You don't swim and try to touch any floaties?
No, ma'am.
And it comes so suddenly that you are in the middle with absolutely nothing to hold on to, and for the first time ever, you don't think you can make it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you can't say anything, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But she is 25 yards or 27 yards away from where you started, right? She's right in front of you, and all you can see is her.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't grab, you can't see the floaty that she's on.
No, ma'am.
You can't see the man that's right in front of her with a floaty.
No, ma'am.
You don't grab onto the man.
No, ma'am.
You don't grab onto the floaty.
No, ma'am.
You don't grab onto the platform.
No, ma'am.
And how far is that boat from you?
Which one?
The Terratex.
That was the point.
When you're trying to, when you feel like you can't swim.
That was maybe like, what was it, 32 and change yards?
So it's 32 and change yards away.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's no way that you're gonna ever be able to hold on to their platform.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, you grab her hand, or you grab her shoulder with one hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have no idea if she goes under.
No, ma'am.
and you have no idea if you go under.
No, ma'am.
Now, at the time, you actually said you weighed 195 pounds. So 195 or 200?
It was in that area.
Okay. Now, you also went to the gym. We've already talked about the disparity or difference in your weight between you and Caroline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She was shorter than you? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she was smaller than you?
Yes, ma'am.
And so despite all of that, you grab her.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody grabs her from under the water.
That's what I heard.
Okay, well, what do you know?
I don't know. I was completely panicked and blacked out.
Okay, so you don't disagree with the possibility that somebody did pull her
That's not
out.
speculation.
You don't disagree with the possibility that someone had to pull her out from under the water.
It could be possible that someone was there and did that, yes.
Okay, you cannot directly contradict that. You can't say, no, that did not happen, because you don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, someone threatens you with a boat hook.
Yes, ma'am.
They tell you to stay away from her. Right?
Stay within the boat.
The only thing you say is, that's my girlfriend.
I also said I could swim.
You say you couldn't swim.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you heard everybody get up on that stand in that boat, right?
Yes, ma'am.
4 couples. You don't know them.
No.
Caroline doesn't know them.
No, ma'am.
It's not like some secret thing. They were secret friends, and this actually was a boat that she knew, and she was swimming there. These people are random, and they are, in fact, like complete strangers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they all say, you said that's my girl. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say I was drowning.
No, ma'am.
You didn't say, please help me.
No, ma'am.
You didn't say, I don't care if you let me on this boat, please just call somebody so that I can get help.
No, ma'am.
You don't ask for FWC to come.
No, ma'am.
The man says, I don't care who you are, you can't drown her. And you don't respond. Right? I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
hear.
ma'am.
Thank you. You indicated, or you stated in your direct, you then touched and held on to his boat,
Yes, ma'am.
despite the fact that he had a boat hook in your face.
That was before.
And you then swim back to Doobie's boat.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you say that they moved.
Yes, ma'am.
So they were 50 yards away originally, give or take, and now they are where?
They're about 15 yards behind our right shoulder.
Okay, so they moved quite a bit
Yes, ma'am.
in the span of seconds?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were they following you?
Yes, they're waiting for Caroline and I to come back. They're already anchored up.
Okay, so anchored up, I'm sorry, I don't have a boat. So anchored up means you take your anchor out from the water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was possible for them to follow you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would have been possible for him to go and pick up Caroline with you on the boat.
Yes, ma'am.
You swim all the way back and you get your boat back.
Yes, ma'am.
And even after you see she's safe, you swim back to the boat that just threatened you with a weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't call the police for assault.
No, ma'am.
You don't call the paramedics to check you.
No, ma'am.
You said you took on a lot of water, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your voice wasn't raspy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It was or it wasn't?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you had a lot of water get in your eyes, your vision's fine?
It was blurry at the time.
Okay, but you don't ask or even try to get any medical attention for what just happened to you.
No, ma'am.
You then swim back to that boat. You don't try to explain what happened to the people on this boat who have accused you of drowning her.
No, ma'am.
And you know that.
They weren't in the area of me.
They weren't in the area. Weren't you on their boat?
I was off to the side and I was on the Caroline, but I don't know if it was the front or they just didn't want to come near us, whatever we were discussing.
You didn't think it was important to go and explain to these people who just saw what they believe was something really serious? You didn't think, like, Caroline, can you please go get them? I need to explain myself.
No, I didn't want another boat hook situation.
You don't want other boat hook situations, but you're holding on to the boat that threatened you with a boat hook, right?
But I'm with Caroline.
You were with Caroline before, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, FWC arrives. You're relieved. That's what you just said, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're relieved because you actually think that this is going to be the way that you get off this boat
Yes, ma'am.
and out of this water, and you're going to get home.
Yes, ma'am.
You still have enough battery. You're going to be able to call an Uber when you get on land, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So they pull you onto this boat, and you're screaming out for Caroline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Caroline, please, come here, please. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my girlfriend. Come here.
Yes, ma'am.
My friends left me. You say that.
Yes, ma'am.
You then say you were drinking too much, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they ask you what happened, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because later, when you've been sitting there for a little bit, you find out they have no idea what just went on, right? When they drove up to this boat,
Yes, ma'am.
they drove up and the officer that's talking to you actually thought you had been hit with a propeller, right?
I'm not sure.
So when you are sitting there, they ask you what happened. You point your girlfriend out and you say, I was with her all day, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You smile because you're proud of her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You think she's beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
She's your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as you're concerned, you did not break up that day.
No, ma'am.
They ask you why you weren't allowed on that boat. Because when they get there, you're hanging off the side of the boat, right?
Could you repeat that?
The police asked you why you weren't inside this boat that they pulled up to. It's Check's boat, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to listen to that portion of the body work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One moment. Right, this is intended to refresh your recollection. The judge is not listening right now. He is putting himself in a coma. And if you have any more that you want to listen to because you think it needs to be better context, you can go ahead and keep going. Or go back a little bit.
Trying to get on there and then they didn't let me on the boat. They didn't let you on the boat. You know what? They didn't want another guy on there. What? They didn't want another guy on there. They didn't want another guy on there?
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so they ask you, why weren't you on that boat? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you answer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you say, they didn't want another guy on there.
That was my assumption at the time.
Okay, but that was your assumption.
Yes, ma'am.
Despite the fact that you had already been threatened with the boat hook, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And after you had said, that's my girl, the response had been, I don't care who she is, you can't kill her. You can't do that to her. You tell the police that you're assuming, or you don't say you're assuming, you say they don't want another guy on there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you already knew everything that had already occurred, and that was your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And you keep giving that answer for a little bit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You keep telling the officers that that's what the reason was. That's why you're hanging off the side of the platform. Because you're just being a pest to them. You want to get on this boat, they don't want you on there. You're another guy, they don't want to ruin the vibe. And so you're just hanging off the side of the boat, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it isn't until somebody asks you, did you put your hands on her? That you, for the first time ever, to anyone out loud, say, I was having trouble swimming. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
You swim back to the boat and you were crying, right?
Yes, ma'am.
With your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You're crying because you almost drowned?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you crying because you're scared of what's going to happen now?
No, ma'am.
You're not seeing your future flash before your eyes?
No, ma'am.
Your aspirations of being a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
Any kind of criminal charge could maybe affect that. You're not thinking about that at all.
No, ma'am.
And you're not thinking about your parents and what they would think
At what point?
at any point.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they had always told you to not be this guy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She comforted you because she loved you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection. Oh, come on.
Now, you're telling the police nothing about that until you then say, after they say that, did you grab her at any point? That's the first time that you say that you had trouble swimming, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you had said they didn't let you on the boat several times to officers.
Objection, that's the answer.
It's a state.
You knew what they were accusing you of on that boat, right?
No, ma'am.
So when they told you, I don't care if she's your girlfriend, you can't do that to her. You didn't hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You did hear it.
Yes, ma'am.
So you just thought, all right, Caroline's gonna chill on this boat, nothing's wrong, they're just mad at me for no reason. I'm gonna swim away, get my book bag, and I'm gonna chill for a little bit, and then I'm gonna swim back and I'm gonna be crying, and nobody's mad at me.
Objection, compound question.
Extremely compound question.
I'll break it down. So you never thought to yourself, they're mad at you because you just did something.
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
You can answer.
Repeat it.
You never thought to yourself, they're mad at me because of something I did.
I believe they took it out of context or.
Right, but you
perceived it
can look
the wrong way.
back. You can look back right now, and hindsight's 20/20, right? Would you agree with me? It's easier to look back on something and maybe find revelation in things that had happened?
Objection of relevance.
I'm getting there.
Can we get there faster? The relevance of what he thinks now that they thought, there isn't any.
It was based on the
Perhaps
answer.
his
I will.
relevance as to what he thought at the time they thought is more relevant.
Okay. So, I don't want to know what you think now. I want you to know what you thought then. You didn't think that they were mad at you at all.
No, ma'am.
You had no problem with these people,
No, ma'am.
but they tried to drive you with a stick, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so at this point, you just think these people want you dead for no reason?
Yes, ma'am.
These people that don't know you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't want to call the police about that?
No, ma'am.
And then you're on a police boat and they're asking you, what happened today? The most general way. And you don't say, I don't know, I thought it was pretty crazy. Somebody just threatened me with a boat hook. You don't say that.
No, ma'am.
You say, they just didn't want me on the boat. You don't mention that you were just assaulted.
Objection, that's the answer.
That has been asked and answered. Same.
You said today that she never went under the water. Have you ever said anything different?
Objection, mischaracterizing the testimony.
Why don't you just rephrase your question?
When you testified on direct examination, you indicated that you put one hand on her shoulder and you said you did not know whether she went under the water or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, did you ever say anything different?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if you had said something different to an officer and it was recorded?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. gonna be a little bit ahead. And I'm referencing the body worn camera of Officer Bulaski, and it is at minute 9:55 that I'm beginning.
Did they help her onto the boat when they realized you were trying to choke her?
What is it? When they tried to have someone like stab me, like towards me, it's like, get out of here, you're trying to choke her.
Do you remember where your hands were on her?
On her shoulders.
On her shoulders? Okay. So your hands were on her shoulders, were they, and you were trying to kind of climb on top of her a little bit, or how'd that work
I'm
out?
having trouble swimming.
You're having trouble swimming. Okay. Okay, so you're having trouble swimming and you're trying to get on top of her. Now, do you see, there's a dock on the side of the boat there. There's a lot of room where you could have grabbed onto to keep yourself up.
Before you were,
There's no objection, this is
What's that?
properly questioned.
before you were here.
Not even a question.
Well, you can refresh recollection then. So I don't know if we're refreshing his recollection with respect to the last question or
I'm
reaching him.
trying to give him more latitude, and there are timestamps.
I'm gonna overrule the proper refreshing his memory.
Yes.
You keep before.
Beforehand, right. So, what I'm saying, you were trying to, you couldn't swim, but there's a big area, big deck right there on the side of the boat that you could have grabbed onto rather than her, right? Or no?
Right.
Yes?
You keep before, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, okay.
Do you see it? Fifteen 22 because I can't get any closer.
Not sure until 10 in the morning.
Okay, so when you grab her, what'd you do?
I grabbed the shoulders.
And then what'd you do?
I tried to hold on to it.
Okay. Did you put your head underwater?
No.
You didn't put your head underwater? Why are people telling me that you did that? You have no clue? What were you guys arguing about?
Has your memory been refreshed about her head going under the water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on that day, did you say that her head did not go under the water?
I said I didn't push it under the water.
Okay. So, at that point, when you're giving this statement, there's two officers that interview you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's an officer who's just talking to you, like first contact, just keeps talking to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then there's another officer, and you saw him testify too, Officer Hudson. He comes in later, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he starts asking you questions kind of after it sounds like he's spoken to other people, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he's referring to other people's statements and kind of cross-referencing it with what you're saying, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when we're talking about distance, was it a few feet away or was it 25 yards away?
Objection. Confusing question.
I don't understand.
So when you're having your drowning incident, are you 25 yards away from the Tariff Checks boat or are you a few feet away from their platform?
So I started feeling the effects when I was about halfway through, but it really got bad as I was approaching Caroline, so I was a few feet away.
Okay, so at 25 yards, you start feeling like you're in a room and you can't get out, is that right?
I started feeling the effects of everything. I'm sinking. My body weight is going down.
Okay, so
It's
when,
vertical, and then as I continue, it gets worse and worse.
okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do your legs start hurting when you initially start feeling something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I think you said at some point that your legs started like hurting or you felt like you couldn't stay vertical. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At what point do you start feeling that?
About halfway through.
Okay, so that's at 25 yards.
Yes, ma'am.
How much further do you swim?
A little distance, about 25 more yards.
Okay, so you're at halfway point, you feel something really bad, and you keep swimming, and you make it all the way to the boat.
To Caroline.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And Caroline is a few feet away from a big boat.
Yes, ma'am.
And at that point, you're a few feet away from her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that platform is just, what, 2-3 feet away from her?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Moment to confirm?
Sure.
I know you're ready.
Regret examination?
Yes, sir. Tell the court what you told the police about your ability to swim that day.
I said I'm not an expert and it's difficult.
Well, tell the court what you told the police as to what happened and why you grabbed onto Caroline's shoulder.
Because I couldn't swim.
Did you tell it multiple times?
Many times, yes.
Okay. Were you wearing a watch that day as well?
Yes, sir.
Prosecutor asked you about issues that you and Caroline had. The issue was about Angela. Was that Caroline's issue or your issue?
That was Caroline's issue.
You didn't have an issue with anything like that, right? Did you?
No, sir.
All right. The issue with younger girls, that was phrased by the prosecutor. Were those your issues or her issues? Caroline's.
Caroline's issues.
The other issue the prosecutor brought up, we were upset that Caroline was upset you didn't confront the guy who grabbed her or smacked her, whatever he did. Was that your issue or her issue?
That was Caroline's issue.
You didn't have any issues, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's make sure I get this right. You talked about, we heard, basically you said that they didn't want you on the boat when you told the police. They didn't want another guy on there. Were you confused?
Yes.
Did you know what they were accusing you? Were you clear until the cop came back and then told you what all these people were saying?
Not at all. I was extremely confused. I didn't understand what the reasoning was.
Didn't make sense to you?
No, I just came up with that. I'm with it because I know other people on boats, guys, for example, only want girls on there, and came across other boats that day that only wanted that and they didn't want to let more guys, so that was just an assumption.
You almost drowned, you're intoxicated, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you have to go to the hospital or you regain your composure?
I regained my composure.
All right. When the officer finally came back and started confronting you with all these people were saying, is that when you realized what was going on?
Yes.
Did you still maintain this was an accident? You were just trying to save yourself?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any intent to harm Caroline whatsoever?
Never.
Thank you, sir. No more questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goldberg. You can step back to your counsel.